Life has a way of showing you where you truly stand with people, even when you're not ready to see it. At 35, I had spent the last 3 years meticulously planning what I thought would be the perfect family trip to Europe. Every overtime shift at the advertising agency, every canceled weekend plan, every penny saved had been worth it because I was finally going to give my parents the dream vacation they'd always talked about but never could afford. I carefully organized everything from first-class flights to 5-star hotels, remembering all the little details Mom had mentioned over Sunday dinners through the years. Her eyes would light up when she talked about seeing the Louvre, and Dad would smile at her enthusiasm.
Just imagine, Robert, walking through those grand galleries, seeing all that history with our own eyes.
I could still hear Mom's voice from those conversations, full of wonder and longing. Now, after years of planning, I was finally making that dream come true. But I should have seen the signs long before that fateful morning. The pattern had always been there, clear as day if I'd only been willing to acknowledge it. Like last Christmas, when my sister Rachel showed up 3 hours late to dinner, disrupting everyone's schedule, and Mom just smiled. The special dinner I'd spent all day preparing got cold while we waited.
She's just going through a rough patch, Margaret. You know how hard it's been for her to find work. We need to be understanding.
Mom's words echoed in my memory as I sorted through the confirmation emails for our upcoming trip. Understanding. That had always been the expectation. I glanced at the clock, 5:45 a.m. I needed to pick up my parents soon to drive them to the airport. My stomach fluttered with excitement as I did one final check of all the reservations. The sound of my phone ringing startled me. It was Mom calling unusually early.
Margaret, honey? Are you on your way yet?
Just about to leave, Mom. Everything okay?
Well, there's something we need to tell you when you get here.
Something in her tone made my heart sink. I knew that voice. It was the same one she used when she was about to disappoint me, but expected me to be understanding about it. I pulled into my parents' driveway at exactly 6 o'clock, just as the first rays of sunlight were beginning to peek over the horizon. The knot in my stomach had grown tighter during the entire drive. As I stepped out of my car, the front door opened, and I saw them, Mom, Dad, and Rachel. My sister stood there with a suitcase, wearing a self-satisfied smile that made my blood run cold. What's going on? I tried to keep my voice steady, even as my hands began to shake.
Oh, sweetheart, we wanted to tell you earlier, but we knew you'd understand. Rachel's been having such a difficult time lately, and when she heard about the trip,
Mom's voice trailed off, her expression a practiced mix of apology and expectation. I stood there, frozen, as the realization hit me. You're taking Rachel instead of me?
No, Margaret. You know how hard things have been for your sister. She hasn't had a proper break in years.
I stared at Dad, who could barely meet my eyes. 3 years of overtime shifts and careful planning flashed through my mind.
Thanks for being so amazing about this, sis. I really need this vacation. You have no idea how stressed I've been job hunting.
Rachel's casual tone felt like a slap in the face. She adjusted her designer handbag, the one Mom and Dad had bought her for Christmas, while they'd given me a coffee mug. I planned this trip. I paid for everything, every single detail.
And we're so grateful, honey. But you're always so busy with work anyway. You probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as Rachel will.
The casual dismissal of my efforts made my chest tight. I watched as Rachel wheeled her suitcase toward my car, as if everything was already decided. So you just assumed I'd be okay with this? You didn't even ask me.
Oh, come on, Margaret. Don't make this awkward. You know how much I've wanted to see Europe.
Rachel's words hung in the air, dripping with entitlement. I looked at each of their faces. Mom's expectant smile, Dad's averted gaze, Rachel's smug expression. A lifetime of similar moments flashed through my mind. My college graduation dinner cut short because Rachel had a minor crisis. My promotion celebration forgotten because Rachel had broken up with her boyfriend. My achievements always overshadowed by her needs. The drive to the airport was excruciating. Rachel dominated the conversation from the back seat, her voice filled with excitement about plans she hadn't made, experiences she hadn't earned.
Mom, did you see that TikTok about the secret spots in Paris? We absolutely have to visit them all.
Rachel's enthusiasm echoed through the car, each word stoking the fire building inside me.
Of course, dear. We'll have plenty of time to explore. Margaret arranged for such a flexible schedule.
My knuckles turned white as I gripped the steering wheel. 3 years of planning, and they spoke about my carefully crafted itinerary as if it were a blank canvas for Rachel's whims.
The hotel looks amazing in the photos. 5 stars, fancy. I can't wait to post pictures by the pool.
Something inside me snapped at those words. The hotel she was so excited about had cost me 6 months of overtime.
Margaret, thank you for driving us. I know this must feel unusual.
Dad's weak attempt at acknowledgement only made it worse. I caught his eyes in the rearview mirror. Unusual? That's an interesting choice of words, Dad.
You're not upset, right? I mean, this is really generous of you, letting me go instead. I could never afford something like this on my own.
The casual acknowledgement of my financial sacrifice, delivered without a hint of genuine gratitude, made my decision crystal clear. Of course not, Rachel. Enjoy yourself. My voice was calm, but my mind was already racing with plans. As we pulled up to the departure terminal, I helped unload their luggage with mechanical precision.
Thank you for understanding, sweetheart. This means so much to us and to Rachel.
Mom hugged me, and for the first time in my life, I didn't hug back. I stood rigid, watching as they wheeled their suitcases toward the entrance. Rachel turned back one last time, waving with theatrical excitement.
Thanks again, sis. You're the absolute best.
I waited until they disappeared through the airport doors before pulling out my phone. My hands were steady now, my purpose clear. The drive home was a blur of emotions, but by the time I parked in my driveway, my mind was clear. I walked straight to my home office and opened my laptop. The exclusive hotel reservations, private guided tours, premium restaurant bookings, every carefully chosen experience I'd planned stared back at me from the screen. They want to take my place? Fine, but they won't do it with my money. I whispered to myself as I began systematically canceling each reservation. The 5-star hotel in Paris, canceled. The private tour of the Louvre, gone. The exclusive dinner cruise on the Seine that I'd booked to celebrate Mom and Dad's anniversary, deleted. With each cancellation, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. My phone started buzzing almost immediately after their plane would have landed. I watched as message after message poured in.
Margaret, something's wrong with the hotel reservation. Call us immediately.
I let out a small, bitter laugh as I read Mom's increasingly panicked texts.
Oh my God, this is so embarrassing. The hotel says we don't have a booking. Fix this now.
Another message from Rachel, this one more demanding than the last. I silenced my phone and continued my task. Years of being the responsible one, the understanding one, the one who always gave in flashed through my mind. Not this time. My best friend Kate's words from last week echoed in my thoughts. You always put them first, Margaret. When was the last time anyone put you first? I picked up my phone and called Kate. She answered on the first ring.
Hey, hun, aren't your parents supposed to be in Europe by now?
Oh, they're in Europe all right, with Rachel.
They did not. Tell me everything.
As I recounted the morning's events, Kate's supportive outrage gave me strength. I told her about canceling the reservations.
Good for you. It's about time you stood up to them. What are you going to do when they call?
Let them figure it out themselves. I'm done being their safety net. Just then, my phone lit up with an incoming call from Mom. I let it go to voicemail. The message she left was exactly what I expected, a mixture of guilt-tripping and demands. Margaret Ann Parker, what have you done? We're stranded here. This is completely unacceptable. For the next few hours, my phone buzzed relentlessly. I put it on silent and focused on making myself a proper dinner, something I rarely had time for between work and managing family crises. As I chopped vegetables for my stir-fry, my landline started ringing. They were getting desperate. I finally decided to answer my cell phone on the 5th call, more out of curiosity than concern.
Margaret, what is wrong with you? We're stuck in a terrible hotel on the outskirts of Paris.
Mom's voice was shrill with indignation. I continued stirring my dinner, feeling remarkably calm. Oh, that's unfortunate. I suppose Rachel's tic-tac recommendations will have to wait.
This isn't funny, Margaret. Do you know how far we are from the city center? The tour company won't even take our calls.
I heard Rachel's voice in the background, demanding as always. Well, those were my reservations, Rachel. Since you all decided I wasn't needed on this trip, I decided my plans weren't needed either.
This is childish and spiteful. We're your family.
Family? Funny you should mention that. When exactly did family start meaning everyone except Margaret?
No, Princess, you're overreacting. We can work this out.
Dad's patronizing tone, which had always made me back down before, only strengthened my resolve. There's nothing to work out. You wanted to take Rachel instead of me? Fine. But you'll do it without my luxury arrangements. Enjoy your trip. I hear the suburbs of Paris are lovely this time of year. I ended the call before they could respond. Within seconds, my phone lit up with text messages. Each message was more desperate than the last. Mom threatening to never forgive this behavior. Rachel calling me petty and selfish. Dad trying to guilt me with comments about family loyalty. The days that followed brought a strange sense of peace. For the first time in years, I wasn't rushing to solve someone else's crisis. Kate came over that evening with a bottle of wine and takeout from our favorite Thai restaurant. She found me curled up on my couch, surrounded by old photo albums.
How are you holding up? Have the guilt trips started yet?
Oh, they started before they even left passport control. But something's different this time, Kate. I don't feel guilty. I feel free. I showed her a photo from my college graduation, me in my cap and gown, beaming at the camera, while my parents fussed over Rachel in the background.
I remember that day. You were valedictorian, and they left early because Rachel had a job interview.
An interview she slept through the next morning. But they never even asked about my speech. Looking at these old photos was like seeing my life through new eyes. Every picture told the same story. Me achieving, succeeding, trying so hard to earn their attention.
So what now? What do you want for yourself, Margaret?
The question caught me off guard. What did I want? I'd spent so long trying to please everyone else. I'd never really thought about it. You know what? I've always wanted to learn photography. Real photography, not just smartphone pictures. I pulled out my laptop and started searching for photography classes. My phone buzzed with another message from Mom, but for once, I ignored it. Over the next few days, I started making small changes. I redecorated my spare room, previously kept ready for Rachel's impromptu stays, into a reading nook. I signed up for those photography classes and joined a local hiking group. Each decision felt like reclaiming a piece of myself.
I ran into your mom's friend Susan at the grocery store.
Apparently, they're still stuck in that budget hotel. They have access to their own money. They could book better accommodations if they wanted to. They're just waiting for me to cave and fix everything, like always. A week later, I was sitting on my front porch when their taxi pulled up. I'd chosen to meet them at their house on my terms. They looked exhausted and irritated as they dragged their luggage up the driveway. Rachel was the first to break the tense silence.
Well, I hope you're satisfied. You completely ruined everything.
I took a slow sip of my coffee, watching them over the rim of my cup. Did I? Or did you ruin it yourselves when you decided to cut me out of my own trip?
It was humiliating, Margaret. We had to stay in terrible hotels, eat at tourist traps, and we couldn't get into any of the exclusive restaurants you'd booked.
That must have been disappointing. Almost as disappointing as being told you're not wanted on a trip you spent 3 years planning.
Princess, we never said you weren't wanted.
I stood up, my voice steady and calm. No, you just replaced me without a second thought, because Rachel needed it more. Just like she always needs everything more.
That's not fair. You're just bitter because you can't stand seeing me happy.
A laugh escaped me, but there was no humor in it. Happy? Rachel, you've never had to work for anything in your life. Everything is handed to you, and you still complain it's not enough.
Margaret Ann Parker, how dare you speak to your sister that way?
How dare I? How dare you treat me like I'm nothing more than your backup plan, your safety net, your ATM? Years of suppressed feelings poured out of me. I'm done being the responsible one who gets taken for granted. I'm done watching Rachel get everything handed to her while I work myself to exhaustion. I'm just done. The silence that followed my outburst was deafening. For once, even Rachel had nothing to say. I've spent my entire adult life trying to earn your approval, your attention, your love. And you know what I realized this week? I don't need to.
Margaret, sweetheart, of course we love you.
Do you? Because love should mean more than just expecting someone to always give and never receive. I pulled out an envelope from my bag and placed it on the porch table.
What's that?
My flight confirmation. I'm going to Italy next month, alone. I'm using the refund money from all those canceled reservations.
You're going to Europe by yourself? That's
me choosing myself for once. I watched as the implications of my words sank in. Mom's face softened, showing genuine concern for the first time.
We never meant to make you feel this way, Margaret.
I know you didn't mean to, Mom, but you did. And now I need to do what's right for me. I stood up, gathering my things. This time, when I walked away, no one tried to stop me. The next few weeks were transformative. I threw myself into preparing for my solo trip. But more importantly, I focused on building the life I wanted. My photography classes became a highlight of my week. I discovered I had a natural eye for composition, and my instructor encouraged me to submit some work to a local gallery. Kate helped me create a beautiful home studio in what used to be Rachel's emergency crash pad. The room now felt like a reflection of who I was becoming. 3 months later, I sat in a small cafe in Florence, sipping espresso and reviewing the photos I'd taken that morning. The early sunlight painted the city in shades of gold. My phone buzzed, a message from Mom. Since my return from Italy, our communication had changed. The constant demands had been replaced by tentative attempts at real connection.
Your latest photos are beautiful, sweetheart. I especially loved the sunrise over the Arno River.
I smiled, remembering how I'd started sharing my photography on social media. To my surprise, my parents had become my most engaged followers. Another message popped up, this one from Rachel.
Hey sis, I had a job interview today. A real one at a marketing firm. I actually prepared for it this time.
The change in my relationship with my family hadn't happened overnight. It had taken weeks of maintained boundaries, difficult conversations, and mutual effort. That's great, Rachel. How do you think it went?
I was nervous, but I did my best. And I wanted to say I'm sorry. Really sorry. Watching you build your own life made me realize I need to do the same.
Her words brought unexpected tears to my eyes. Sometimes the biggest changes come from the most unexpected places. Kate joined me at the cafe, camera in hand. We'd started doing photography walks together, sharing techniques and perspectives.
Your parents called me yesterday. They wanted advice on how to plan a proper graduation celebration for your photography course.
Really?
That's different. They're trying, Margaret. They finally see you.
Looking out over the beautiful Italian cityscape, I felt at peace. The woman who had desperately sought her family's approval seemed like a distant memory. I'd learned that sometimes you have to lose what you thought you wanted to find what you really need. Sometimes you have to choose yourself before others can learn to choose you too. That evening, I called my parents. We talked about my day, my photos, their lives, a real conversation without expectations or demands. As I ended the call, Mom's voice softened.
We're proud of you, Margaret. Not for what you do for us, but for who you are.
After hanging up, I walked to my favorite spot overlooking Florence. The setting sun painted the sky in brilliant colors, perfect for one more photograph. This time, I wasn't capturing the moment to prove anything to anyone. I was doing it for myself, and that made all the difference.